Hey, what is happening? Welcome into the Profit Cast. I'm Dr. Alex Engar, your Profit Doc, and today we're going to dive into a topic that I call Quadrant Hopping, which if you've ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and you recognize that you have created a business for yourself where you actually own a job, this is for you. How do you get unstuck from the place where you feel like all of your income is directly tied to the time that you work, or you've probably felt like you have capped out at a certain point? This happens a lot for business owners who get into ownership. They start crushing it and they feel like, ooh, I'm a business owner, but then they realize I've actually just worked myself into a really time-consuming job, and I'm a terrible boss because I never let myself have time off. I can't take sick days, and when I do, I don't get paid. If that's you and you're wanting to make the leap from knowing that you own this job into truly being a business owner that owns a system, this is for you. We're going to talk about the shift going from the owning a job quadrant to the owning a system quadrant, and what actually has to happen from a skills standpoint to move there. Okay, so in order to do that today, we're going to dive into to a little bit of drawing. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, I really recommend going to our YouTube channel or into our Facebook group and checking the training out there. Let's dive in. So y'all probably know the Cashflow Quadrants. If you haven't, you should pick up Rich Dad, Poor Dad or listen to a really good summary on YouTube's by Robert Kiyosaki. And he came up with this whole idea of Cashflow Quadrants. So the very first quadrant is E, where you are an employee. You're working for someone else. The next quadrant is owning a job. So I think it's S for self-employed. Sorry, let's put an S in there. S is for self-employed, and then B is owning a business, and we'll look at the difference between what most people think they're doing versus actually running a business. And then the I is the investor quadrant. And his whole philosophy is, how can we get you from E to I as fast as possible? Now, sometimes you're going there directly as an employee. If you can make enough money, you can jump over into the investor quadrant and earn money that way. But for most of the people listening to this, you're going to be sitting here as a business owner thinking, okay, I have moved from E to S. How do I move from S to B? So let's look at this. I just want to look at for a minute the skills that get you success in each quadrant. So as an employee, what gets you success? What makes you successful in being able to earn well as an employee? Well, it's the hard skill itself. It's doing the thing, right? And it's being good at doing the thing for your employer, right? So we're just going to call it doing the thing, right? And I want you to think about, what's the price to learn this skill, and how do you advance yourself? How do you move faster in this skill? Okay. Well, the price for learning how to do the thing is often either school or experience, right? I'm a physical therapist by training, and school costs, I don't know, ballpark, anyone, $60,000 up to, maybe $150,000 for school. And so there's a cost to learning how to do the thing. And usually it's reps in school and reps actually in the job. You learn to do the thing. That's what gets you successful in being an employee. And really, we all know that the bigger success is not just in doing the thing, but it's learning the next level of value from doing the thing, which is starting to manage people doing the thing, right? Providing innovation within you doing the thing. The interesting thing is a lot of entrepreneurs feel like they've got the doing the thing down so well or in such an innovative way that they're like, well, I'm sick of getting paid to build someone else's dream. I want to build my own. I think I can do this better, right? And so they take the first leap down from the E quadrant down to the S quadrant, the self-employed quadrant. So what makes you good in the S quadrant? Well, in the S quadrant, it's a little bit different. Instead of just doing the thing, what makes you successful here is learning how to market and sell the doing of the thing. So it's market and sell. And if you don't learn how to do that, you're not going to have a business. You're not going to get customers in the first place. But your value doesn't actually come in being the best at doing the thing. And you might be looking at me saying, well, Alex, doesn't being the best get you new customers? And while yes, it might get you new customers, it's ultimately because there's word of mouth marketing there, right? So we work with a lot of healthcare providers, brick and mortar owners, work with a lot of online coaches as well. And a lot of people say, well, I don't do any marketing. Well, you do because you're so good at the thing that there's word of mouth around it and there's reputation, right? What if you got even better at the marketing and sales of the thing and were able to do more of the actual, the thing that you're so good at, right? So we have a lot of business owners who learn marketing, they learn sales, and this gets them to the point where they can have a six-figure business, maybe a multi-six-figure business if you're in the coaching world. But usually you're capped out. If we look at sort of the employee, let's say, I don't know, you cap out at probably somewhere around maybe 150K, like on the high side for most employees, right? But somewhere around 100K is usually a ceiling, or it's in that 100 to 150K range for our ceiling, okay? For the business owner who comes in and now they're self-employed, that ceiling raises, right? And so they're taking on more risk. They're learning how to price things. They're marketing and selling, but they're still doing everything themselves. This is where Will and I, as a business, have been for a long time. And this is something where a lot of times we'll see business owners cap out somewhere in the 200 to maybe 500K range when they're doing everything themselves. Now, not a lot of business owners by themselves get up to the 500K mark, but I'd say that's a pretty firm cap for doing the self-employed thing. And we probably see that, right, in terms of cap. So now the question is, well, I don't want to be stuck in self-employed forever. I don't want to make money only because I'm good at marketing and selling the thing, because then I have to market and sell and deliver and manage the business, and you're doing everything. This is where you're wearing all the hats. Back in the day, there's a story of this guy. I should look it up. It was one of my favorite kids' books. And there was this dude who was a hat salesman, and he would wear all these hats. And the hats just got higher and higher and higher and higher on his head. And he was just wandering around yelling, caps for sale, caps for sale. And the whole thing being, he just had so many hats on. And I remember that visual. I have felt like that so much as a business owner in this S quadrant, where it's like, I am doing everything. I'm marketing, I am selling, I'm delivering, I'm doing customer service things, I'm doing technical stuff on the back end. And really what makes you successful here is learning to market, learning to sell, and learning to manage your time, honestly, right? You've probably felt that. So now the real question, and the point of this talk today, is to look at, how do I move from S into the B, into owning a business, rather than owning a job, which I'm capped at pretty hard here. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of business owners who are self-employed that are just doing their own thing, who are making plenty of money. In fact, I actually call it the profit valley. So they're at a phase where, if you're here looking at how much money you're earning over time, so this is money earned and this is time over here. Well, there's a place in your business where once you learn how to market and sell the thing, you can run really lean and your profits can be really high. Okay, so maybe rather than money, this is like take-home pay. So let's just call this profit. And what happens to so many business owners is they get stuck in this self-employed level of thinking where they're making lots of money and they're like, ooh, now I'm ready to move to business owner. So I'm going to hire, I'm going to expand, I might go get business funding, like I might go into debt. And suddenly, and I see this so much because I have conversations with people every day on this, suddenly they get into this second phase of business growth and their profits tank. And all of a sudden they're making less money than they were before. They have a team, they have multiple, maybe it's multiple locations even, and they're making far less money than they were when they were a solo provider or when they were running the show on their own. This happens in coaching businesses, it happens in product businesses, it happens in service-based businesses. And this profit valley is a sucky place to be. And this is usually when people reach out to us and they're like, hey, things like I'm making more money than I ever have, but I'm not keeping any more than I used to when I was doing everything myself. And so then the question is, how do we change into this third phase here where our profits can be significantly higher and the time that we put in the business goes down a lot? That's where we get into this third quadrant here of truly owning a system and a business. So if we look at what are the skill sets that got me to where I'm at, it's learning how to do the thing, learning how to market and sell the thing. Now the question is, how do I learn, what are the skill sets I need to know in order to be good at creating a system around the thing? And that's where we get into our big three pillars. And this is, I'll have a whole episode dedicated to this, but there's three big pillars that we feel like every self-employed individual or even business owner who's not as profitable as they want to be needs to learn. And it's number one, clarity on their numbers. It's number two, financial systems. So having the right systems in place. And it's number three, learning about profitability and how to make decisions that create more profit each time you spend money instead of the other way around. So profitability. And it's really sad that a lot of business owners think that just getting better at doing the thing is going to make them more money, which it might to a certain extent, but then we're going to be capped by how much we can market and sell. And so many business owners, most business owners, get stuck and limited down here in the owning a job, even if they're hiring out or expanding into space. Maybe they have a team, but they haven't created a profitable system. And so it requires a different skill set. Just like you had to go to school and learn the thing to do the thing, you also had to, usually it's the school of hard knocks in learning how to market and sell. But in this day and age, there's so many courses and coaching programs and YouTube channels and everything that can teach you how to market and sell. The problem that we're seeing in the marketplace is that people aren't being taught how to move from being good at marketing and selling the thing to truly running it as a business, running it as a system. And that's what we help people with. It's this piece around business clarity around your numbers. It's figuring out, how do I set up the right financial systems in my business so that as money is moving around, it happens quickly and easily, and that the decisions that I'm making are truly profitable. And so quick 10-minute clip here today to remind you that the skill sets that got you to where you are not the same skill sets that will get you to where you want to go. And if you want to go to a different place, you need to use your vehicle in a different way. Okay. If you want help with this stuff, you can go to ceofinanceacademy.com and check out what we're doing there. We even hop on calls with business owners every single day. So if you're like, hey, I want to figure out where am I deficient in my clarity, my systems, and my profitability, go hop on the website. I have a brand new tool coming out where you can go and assess where am I most deficient? Where do I need to focus so that I can have clarity on my numbers, get my financial system set up right, and have my profitability in a spot where I want to, so that I can get the uncapped potential that comes from truly owning a business. And that's the whole thing. This is where we'll end. Doing the thing, we're capped at probably somewhere in 100K, maybe a little bit more range. Learning how to market and sell the thing, the business itself is capped at 200 to 500K, but we know that there's no way you're taking home all of that as profit. But then in the owning a system, this is where we get into 7 figures plus, and the earning potential is truly uncapped when you really own a system, because it's just, how can I scale this thing as far as it'll go? And so instead of focusing on just getting better at marketing and selling, focus on learning how to run this thing as a business. And it comes through knowing your numbers, having the right financial systems and other systems in place, and making all of your decisions from a place of profitability so that you don't end up living down here in this terrible profit valley where you're making more money than you ever have before and keeping less of it while doing more work. It's a sucky place to be. So more than anything, this is an invitation to shift how you're thinking about operating your business. And over the next couple of episodes, we're going to dive deep into each of these 3: clarity, systems, and profitability, how you can start making decisions differently and get your business to a point where it's actually doing what you want for you, instead of you just working so hard to keep getting less of what you were probably getting before. Cool. This has been a quick episode of the Profit Cast. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next episode.